his hand hovering for an excessive amount of time, his eyes revealing thoughts, and the sheer chutzpah of it all astounded me. He was afraid to speak out loud. Anya had always prided herself on being composed as the elder sister-in-law of the family. She maintained her elegance like armor. She was hosting a family dinner that night, a casual gathering that brought everyone under one roof. The lively chatter filled the dining room, but her mind was elsewhere, fixed on a single forbidden moment from earlier in the kitchen. Her nephew Dorian had just turned 23, a young man with a charm that seemed to turn every head in the room. But it wasn't his charm that had caught her attention. It was the way his casual demeanor seemed to hide something far more calculated. It happened when they were alone in the kitchen. She had been reaching for a wine glass on the top shelf when Dorian stepped in behind her. The space between them was minimal, his voice low but teasing as he asked, "Need a hand?" Her heartbeat accelerated, a response she didn't comprehend, but she dismissed it with a courteous chuckle. "Thank you. I have it." But as she turned, their proximity became unavoidably intimate. His gaze locked on her, intense, daring, almost searching. Anya shook her head at the memory, trying to focus on the lively dinner conversation around her across the table. Dorian laughed at one of her husband's, his grin, disarming and innocent to everyone. What unnerved her most was that she wasn't the only one who seemed to... Alessia, her sister-in-law and Dorian's stepmother, had also been stealing glances at him throughout the night. Her laughter was just a bit too sweet, her compliments slightly exaggerated. As dessert was served, Dorian stood to clear the plates, his movements casual but confident. Alessia offered to help, and the two disappeared into the kitchen. Anya, stomach tightened moments later. She excused herself and followed. Peering through the slightly ajar door, she saw Alessia leaning against the counter. Her cheeks flushed while Dorian stood close, too close. They were laughing about something, but the atmosphere felt heavy, charged with unspoken tension. Anya stepped back, her heart pounding. She couldn't deny it any longer. Something was unfolding right under their noses, but what disturbed her most wasn't just the tension in the air. It was the realization that she wasn't merely an observer, she was a participant. What would you do if you found yourself in Anya's shoes? Stay tuned to uncover the twists in this unfolding family drama. Like, share, and subscribe for the next gripping section. Anya spent the rest of the evening avoiding the kitchen. Her heart raced every time Dorian or Alessia reappeared, their faces neutral, yet somehow carrying the weight of something unsaid. She couldn't decide what was more unnerving, her curiosity about what had transpired, or the way she couldn't ignore her own conflicted feelings about Dorian. By the time the last guest left and her husband retired upstairs, Anya found herself sitting alone in the dimly lit living room, sipping a glass of wine she didn't need. The house was silent, except for the faint sound of water running upstairs, where Dorian was showering in the guest bathroom. Her mind replayed every glance, every word, and every moment she had shared with him that night. She hated the way it made her feel uneasy, yet drawn in like being caught in a storm. She didn't want to escape. Just as she considered heading to bed, Dorian appeared at the base of the stairs, his hair damp and his t-shirt slightly wrinkled. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked, his voice low but friendly. She shook her head, gesturing to the seat across from her. "I guess not. Long day." He settled into the chair, his presence filling the quiet space between them. "It was a nice dinner. You always manage to make everyone feel welcome," he said, his tone genuine. "Thank you." Anya tried to keep her tone light, but the intimacy of the moment was undeniable. Dorian leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "You seemed a little off tonight, though. Everything okay?" Her breath caught the way he asked wasn't it was intentional, almost as if he wanted to hear more than she was willing to share. "I'm fine," she replied quickly, her voice wavering despite her best efforts. I guess Dorian's gaze didn't waver. "I won't judge his statements, so feel free to let me know if anything is bothering you." Sent a shiver down her spine. She wanted to laugh it off to end the conversation before it went somewhere it shouldn't, but instead she found herself, "It's nothing, just complicated." Dorian tilted his head slightly, studying, usually as his words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Before she could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed from the hall. Anya froze as Alessia entered the room, her robe loosely tied, hair messy from sleep. She paused when she saw the two of them, her expression unreadable. "I couldn't sleep either," Alessia said with a faint smile. Moving to sit beside Dorian, she placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture that seemed casual but lingered just long enough to feel deliberate. The atmosphere grew thicker, the tension between the three of them almost palpable. Anya felt trapped, her mind racing with questions and possibilities. Dorian glanced between the two women, his expression calm but undeniably aware of the charged energy in the room. "I guess we're all a little restless tonight," he said, his tone light but his eyes glinting with something deeper. Anya's grip tightened on her glass as Alessia's hand remained on Dorian's shoulder. The night wasn't over yet, and she had a sinking feeling. It was about to get even more complicated. What do you think is brewing between Anya, Alessia, and Dorian? Could this night change everything? Stay tuned for the next twist. Like, share, and subscribe for the next thrilling section. Anya's breath hitched as Alessia settled beside Dorian, her hand casually resting on his knee. The gesture was subtle, but not lost on Anya, who could feel the tension in the room thickening like a fog. Alessia's voice broke the silence. "It's funny, isn't it? How nights like these make you think about things you don't usually say out loud." Anya raised an eyebrow, her nerves tingling. "What do you mean?" Alessia gave a soft, almost mischievous laugh. "Oh, you know the things you want, but never admit to wanting the things you think about. Late at night, when the world feels a little quieter." Dorian smirked, his gaze shifting between the two women. "That's an interesting way to put it." Anya could feel her face heat up, her thoughts spiraling into dangerous territory. She tried to change the subject, her voice slightly higher than usual. "It's late. Maybe we should all get some sleep." But Alessia wasn't finished. "Come on, Anya. Don't tell me you never have moments like that. Moments when you wonder what it would feel like to break the rules, just a little." Anya's heart pounded in her chest. "Alessia, what are you trying to say?" Alessia leaned back, her smile sly and her eyes gleaming with something Anya couldn't quite place. "I'm just saying life's too short to keep everything inside." The words lingered in the air, their implications heavy. Dorian didn't say anything, but his posture remained relaxed, as if he were content to watch how the conversation unfolded. Anya stood abruptly, setting her glass down with a clink. "I think I'm going to bed." Alessia didn't try to stop her, but her voice followed Anya as she walked away. "Sweet dreams, Anya. Don't let the thoughts keep." Anya led to her shutting the door behind her and leaning against it. Her mind was a whirlwind of emotions, confusion, anger, and something far more dangerous. She couldn't shake the image of Dorian sitting there so calm and composed, while Alessia spoke in riddles that felt like they were meant just for her. Minutes later, she heard footsteps outside her door. She held her breath, her heart racing. A soft knock followed. Surely it was Dorian. She hesitated, unsure if she wanted to face him again so soon. But something compelled her to open the door, just a crack. His face was unreadable, but his tone was gentle. "Are you okay?" Anya nodded quickly, avoiding his eyes. "I'm fine, just tired." Dorian didn't move his presence, filling the small space between them. "If something's bothering you, you can talk to me. You know that, right?" The sincerity in his voice made her chest ache. She wanted to tell him to leave, to let her sort out her feelings on her own, but instead she found herself stepping aside, letting him in. "What do you think?" Dorian's true intentions are and will surely be able to resist the pull of temptation. Don't miss the next twist. Like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned for the next section. Anya closed the door softly behind Dorian, her breath uneven as she tried to process the conflicting emotions swirling within her. The dim light of her bedside lamp cast soft shadows, making the room feel smaller, more intimate. Dorian stood a few feet away, his hands shoved into his pockets. His expression, calm but unreadable. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable earlier," he said, his voice low. Anya forced a small laugh, though her chest felt tight. "It wasn't you, Dorian. Alessia just has a way of pushing boundaries." He nodded, his gaze steady. "She does that. Doesn't she always saying what everyone else is afraid to?" Anya folded her arms across her chest, trying to create a barrier between herself and the growing tension in the room. "It's late, you should probably get some rest." Dorian tilted his head, studying her. "You're avoiding me." Her heart skipped a beat, but she forced herself to meet his gaze. "I'm not." "Yes, you are," he said, taking a slow step closer. "And I think I know why." She stiffened her back, pressing against the door. "Dorian, this isn't about what Alessia," he finished, his voice soft but insistent. Her lips parted in protest, but no words came out. He was too close now, his presence overwhelming. She could feel the heat radiating from him, and it was making it impossible to think straight. "Surely," he said, his tone gentler. "This time you don't have to pretend I see it, even if you're afraid to say it." Her pulse thundered in her ears as she searched his face for some sign of hesitation, some indication that this was all a misunderstanding. But his eyes held nothing but certainty, and it terrified her. "This isn't right," she whispered, though her voice lacked conviction. Dorian reached out, his fingers brushing against her arm. The contact was light, almost hesitant, but it sent a jolt through her that she couldn't ignore. "Sometimes," he said, his voice low and steady, "the things that feel the most wrong are the ones we want the most." Anya's breath caught in her throat as his words sank in. 1,000 thoughts raced through her mind, warnings, doubts, fears, but they were drowned out by the thundering of her heart. She wanted to push him away, to tell him to leave before things went too far, but instead she found herself frozen, unable to move as he leaned in closer. "Tell me to stop," Dorian murmured, his voice barely audible. Anya opened her mouth, but the words wouldn't come in that moment. The door behind her creaked open, and both of them turned sharply to see Alessia standing there, her expression unreadable. "Well," Alessia said, crossing her arms and leaning against the door frame, "looks like I interrupted something." What will Alessia do now that she's caught them? And how will Shirley handle the fallout? Stay tuned for the next chapter of this thrilling story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Alessia's sudden appearance made the air in the room shift sharply, cutting through the tension like a blade. Anya instinctively stepped back from Dorian, her face flushed, while Dorian turned to face Alessia with a mixture of annoyance and apprehension. "Alessia, it's not what you think," Anya said quickly, her voice trembling as she tried to regain control of the situation. Alessia raised an eyebrow, a sly smile creeping across her lips. "Oh, I think it's exactly what I think," she replied, her tone dripping with insinuation just inside, running a hand through his hair. "Alessia, can we not do this right now?" "Oh, but why not?" Alessia said, stepping into the room and closing the door behind her. "I mean, clearly the two of you were having a moment. I'd hate to get in the way of..." Anya raced as Alessia's words hung in the air. There was something unsettling about her tone, playful, almost daring, as if she was testing how far she could push them. "This is ridiculous," Anya muttered, brushing past Dorian and moving toward Alessia. "You need to stop." Alessia's expression shifted, her smile fading as she stepped closer to Anya. "Stop what?" "Anya, being honest, because someone has to be." Anya felt her frustration boiling over. "You're playing games, Alessia, and it's not fair, not to me and not to Dorian." Alessia tilted her head, studying Anya with an unnerving, Maybe I just see things more clearly than you do." She glanced at Dorian, then back at Anya. "What are you going to do about it?" Clenched her fists, her mind racing. Alessia's words were like a spot she'd been trying to suppress. She wanted to deny everything, to pretend none of this was happening, but Alessia wasn't giving her that option. Dorian broke the silence, his voice firm. "Alessia, enough. This isn't a game and you're not helping." Alessia smirked, raising her hands in mock surrender. Fine, I'll back off for now. She turned toward the door but paused, glancing over her shoulder. But don't think I'm the bad guy here. I'm just the one brave enough to call things as they are. With that, she left the room, closing the door softly behind her. Anya exhaled shakily, her shoulders slumping. As the tension drained from her body, Dorian stepped closer, his voice gentle. Are you okay? She nodded, though her mind was anything but calm. I don't know what's happening anymore, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Dorian reached out his hand, brushing against hers. You're not alone in this, Anya. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out. Anya looked up at him, her eyes searching his for some semblance of clarity, but all she saw was the same turmoil. In the hall, Alessia leaned against the wall, a knowing smile playing on her lips. She whispered to herself, let's see how long this little charade lasts. How will Anya handle the growing conflicts provocation? And what's Alessia's end game? This. Don't miss the next chapter of this emotion. Share and subscribe for more gripping twists. Sat on her mind, spit smug resolve, and the reading even scrolled a soft. Opened the door. Dorian stood there, his face shadowed in the dim light of the hallway. He looked hesitant, but determined, his eyes locking onto hers. We need to talk, he said simply. Anya hesitated for a moment before stepping aside to let him in. Dorian closed the door softly behind him, his presence filling the room. I can't keep doing this, Anya said quickly, her voice barely above a whisper. I can't keep pretending like everything's fine. Dorian nodded, stepping closer. Neither can I. That's why I'm here. Anya's breath caught as he sat down beside her, their knees almost touching. She felt the heat radiating from him, the electricity in the air between them. I don't know what to do, she admitted, her voice trembling. Whatever this is, it's too much. Dorian reached out, taking her hand in his. His touch was warm, grounding her in the chaos of her emotions. Surely, I know this is complicated, but I also know that what I feel for you is real. Tears welled up in Anya's eyes as she looked at him, her defense crumbling. I don't know if I can handle this, Dorian. I don't know if I'm strong enough. You are, he said firmly. You're stronger than you think, and you don't have to face this alone. The sincerity in his voice broke through Anya's walls, and before she could stop herself, she leaned forward, her lips brushing against his. The kiss was tentative, at first a question rather than a statement, but as Dorian responded, deepening the kiss, all the doubts and fears melted away, leaving only the connection they couldn't deny. When they finally pulled apart, Anya's cheeks were flushed, her heart pounding in her chest. What now? She whispered. Dorian smiled softly, his thumb brushing against her hand. Now we figure this out together, one step at a time. Their moment was interrupted by the sound of footsteps in the hallway. Anya's door was slightly ajar, and through the crack she saw Alessia standing there, watching them with an expression she couldn't quite read. Alessia met Anya's gaze and smirked, her eyes glinting with something almost dangerous. Then, without a word, she turned and walked away. Anya felt a chill run down her spine. Alessia knew, and whatever she was planning next, knew it would. What do you think, Alessia? How will Anya and Dorian navigate? Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for more. Don't forget, share and subscribe for more. The days that whirlwind of Anya and Dorian, their new family, but Alessia's loomed. Coddled Anya. One evening, Alessia confronted Anya in the kitchen. Her tone was light, almost casual, but her words were razor sharp. Isn't it funny, Alessia said, leaning against the counter, how people think they can keep secrets when the truth is always lurking just beneath the surface. Anya felt her stomach drop. What are you talking about? She asked. Trying to keep her voice steady, Alessia smirked, her eyes narrowing. You and Dorian, did you really think I wouldn't notice? Anya's heart pounded in her chest. Alessia, it's not what you think. Oh, it's exactly what I think. Alessia, interrupted, her voice cold, and don't worry, I'm not going to tell anyone, but let me give you some advice. Surely secrets like this have a way of unraveling all on their own. Alessia. His words lingered long after she left the room. Anya felt trapped, torn between the feeling she couldn't deny and the looming consequences of their actions. That night, Anya and Dorian met in her room. She told him about Alessia's confrontation, her fear evident in every word she knows Dorian. Anya said, pacing back and forth, "And I don't think she's going to keep quiet forever." Dorian sighed, running a hand through his hair. "We can't keep hiding this. It's only a matter of time before everything comes out. What do we do?" Anya asked, her voice trembling. Dorian took her hands, his gaze steady. "We face it together, the morning after." In the living room, Alessia was seated by Anya and Dorian. The tension was palpable as they told her the truth, sparing no details. Alessia listened in silence, her expression unreadable. When they finished, Alessia let out a dry laugh. "Well, I can't say I'm surprised," she said, "but I hope you're ready for what comes next, because it's not going to be easy." Anya and Dorian knew she was right. They felt a sense of comfort as they stood together confronting the storm, even though the days ahead would be full of painful conversations and judgmental whispers. There were no more secrets. Although secrets and prohibited relationships may appear seductive, they frequently have repercussions that make people face their darkest realities and anxieties.